agree with that.
Canon that R2D2 is a lesbian.
So don't worry about the story or the plot or the characters. Who has time for that? Instead,
that is a bunch of people having fun in an interview. Matt, have you ever had fun in your life? Jesus Christ. Like, have you ever sat down with the boys? I'm sure you've had this conversation. Have you ever been like, that chick was pretty hot, eh? Yeah, she was pretty hot. Yeah, she was hot. I found her hot. What, are you saying that, like, she aroused you? Wait, is that gay? Is that gay of me to say that? No homo, bro, but she was hot. In a straight way. Like, as in, I would have straight sex with her. In the missionary position exclusively. So, Jason Schreier says, what went wrong with Suicide Squad? Killed the Justice League. This is a story based on interviews with 24 people who worked on the game of how Rocksteady Studios went from the revered Arkham Asylum series to a $200 million flop. And immediately in comes the anti-woke brigade. Not one mention of the woke tone turning off fans or the SBI influence. Really, Jason? This article is about what actually happened. that's just so beautiful. Just like murdered by words. Amazing. Also, absolutely ratioed into the sun. This actually got more likes than the original article's likes itself. And then, not satisfied with, again, being ratioed into the sun, he kept going. Right. So it didn't have any effect on development behind the scenes? Hiring practices, turning off millions of fans. Do you not remember this game is what kicked off the SBI drama to begin with? To not even mention it is negligent, absent journalism, dishonestly so. You have been so mind poisoned by all day just fucking watching the quarterings and the Geeks and Gamers channels, all day being taught that this is how the world works, that there's this secret shady organization of like woke minorities who are just like behind the scenes controlling everything and being like, oh, we can't wait to make this extra woke. We're gonna have extra feminism and take away your 20% titty skin. And in addition to that, there may be a black female protagonist in the game. Yes, ooh, you'll have to play the game as something you don't like all this kind of shit. And that's just how their minds work. And then all of a sudden, an actual article comes out about, yes, these AAA video game companies are shit. They're horrible. They treat their employees like absolute garbage. And in order to make quotas and meet deadlines, they do crunch and they hire contract workers, and it's abysmal. And journalists will eventually report successfully on those practices, as I'm sure once we go through the article you'd see. But again, you just get people, but what about the wokeness? Tell me you know about behind the scenes. I asked 24 people who worked on the game what went wrong. Not a single one mentioned the words sweet baby. You were chasing angry hallucinations created by grifters who make money off your rage. True. 100% true. That's what it is. Grifters who make you angry and make lots of money off you being angry and keeping you angry. You know, it's not as profitable to try and diffuse all that kind of stuff. It can be fun and funny to laugh at people whose minds have been completely RFK Jr. brain poisoned, but still. I asked 12 cult members what went wrong in the cult, and not even one of them mentioned the Kool-Aid. But not to mention it yourself in passing, at least in the article, even if you disagree, come on, man. This game single-handedly kicked off the SBI tracker on Steam. Last thing I'll say on the topic. The premise and story of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, were the vision of Sefton Hill, director of the Arkham trilogy. Anyone who tells you that Sweet Baby made them kill Batman or anything else is lying, period. Now, I haven't played the game, so I'm going to have to, have, false, stolen valor in this respect. I just heard it was terrible, so I didn't want to. David Haddad, the head of the video games for Warner Brothers Discovery, visited London offices, subsidiary Rocksteady Studios. Previous gatherings with the executive have been peppered with tactful euphemisms. Haddad shared a few details on the scope of the game and said that people who asked not to be identified discussing non-public information, but it didn't take long for them to find out the extent of the damage. On May 9th, during an earnings call, Warner Brothers revealed that it was taking a $200 million loss on Suicide Squad, making it one of the gaming world's worst blunders. Behind the scenes, according to interviews with nearly 24 people who requested anonymity because they weren't authorized to speak to the press, the development of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, was a tumultuous affair, plagued by countless delays. The game failed for a number of reasons, said the people, including a constant shifting vision, a culture of rigid perfectionism, and a genre pivot that was ill-suited for the studio. A spokesperson for Warner Brothers declined to comment. The costly miss could extend beyond Warner Brothers and further deter investment in gaming by traditional media firms when they should be expanding. The high-profile failure came at a particularly bad time for Warner Brothers. Chief Executive Officer David Zaslav, the parent parent company of CNN, HBO, TNT. Like maybe monopolies is a bigger problem here too. Over the past 2 years, the company's share had plummeted to $26 to a little over $8 at the name of the call. But yeah, for years, Warner Brothers has been struggling to transform its comics. Whereas after the company hustled to build momentum, founded in London. Broadway industry is growing and fixated games as service. So at the time, the broader industry was growing increasingly fixated with games as a service, such as Destiny, League of Legends, which generates sales long after the initial release, continuously re-engaging players with an endless update, raking in fresh profits year after year. Armed with the battery of presentations, Warner Brothers executives traveled to London and made the case for the growing category of the industry's failure. What you're seeing here is like what you've seen with most AAA gaming companies. They want you to not just buy a game once, because then that's the point of sale and that's the end of it. They want you to buy a subscription to a service where you keep playing the game in perpetuity or until there's not enough of a subscriber base to support the game anymore. Exceptions to this are like World of Warcraft or something like that. But that's basically it. And if you want to transform your games into that service, well, that comes with a lot of caveats, especially if you don't have a massive user base. People don't want to play it. That was a problem with Fallout 76 when it was released. It was this kind of a game. You subscribe, you play it 24/7, and because no one was playing it and they had no missions that didn't involve other players, the game was empty all the time and no one wanted to play it. They forgot to add storylines and missions where they eventually did down the road, but I'm just saying that's why that was a massive flop. That's what's wrong with these companies. It's not wokeness. It's not a woke agenda. It's not Sweet Baby Inc. or any of the things they always tell you. It's corporations being super shitty. And what's wild is this is kind of like a microcosm for like fascism in general, where you have a small minority of fascists and far-right bigots who want to vilify wokeness. In this case, it's whatever they don't like, right? Vilify gay people, vilify lesbians, vilify black people, vilify indigenous people. Whatever it is they don't like, that's wokeness. And so that's what they're trying to blame, when it's really the failures of a capitalist system that are playing out, and the endless capitalist greed that is causing these video game companies to make the very games that people are, in large part, not always wanting to play. Because it's like, hey, we have movies. These movies are coming out. They cost now $250 million just to make. That's not the marketing. The marketing is going to be $200 million on top of that. So they need to make internationally over $550 million to break even. We keep doing this pattern over and over. We keep getting more grandiose. We keep getting bigger budgets. We keep getting bigger and bigger. And now all these studios are just releasing only these kinds of movies. That's what's in movie theaters. Is you go there, prequels, trequels, sequels, franchises, things you already know. The rare and occasional, Barbenheimer comes out, but otherwise that's kind of been the pattern. And yeah, when there's like 2 or 3 major events that you have to see, you gotta go see Blue Beetle. Get in there, get into the theaters, go see Flash, go see fucking, Justice League, go see fucking Aquaman, go see Aquaman 2. These are the biggest movies of our lifetime. And it's like, well, I could, but there's 2 other of the biggest movies of my lifetime also coming out this week. Maybe this model is just self-imploding in general, and it's happening in all sectors, and maybe you're seeing it play out in the fact that they are firing tens of thousands of their own employees, or maybe fucking Warner Brothers is just saying, hey, let's take tax cuts instead of continuously doing it. That's what's explaining it's not wokeness, and it never has been. But that's not going to stop people from continuing. Like, you've seen what's happening right now with Star Wars, right? With now yet again, Star Wars went woke. Apparently it's trans, it's gay, it's feminist.
It's no secret that Disney isn't doing well lately. They just laid off nearly 15% of the workforce at Pixar, their movie studio that used to produce guaranteed hits. But Pixar's recent films, Elemental and Lightyear, were bombs, and the division hasn't turned a profit in more than 2 years. People just didn't go for the strained interracial immigrant metaphor in Elemental, or the same-sex kiss in Lightyear, or the kind of rehab.
Wait, what? Lightyear was a flop? It made $50 million in its opening. It made 118 domestic, 100 international, made 226 million worldwide. That could be a flop. I don't know what their budget was. Lightyear budget. Like, yeah, I don't want to watch these remakes or Disney reboots or sequels or stuff just because I think they're trash. I think they're all just endless cash grabs, and I think they've lost any of the creative magic that even created the studio in the first place, right? It had a development budget of about 200 million. Oh, okay, so he's not completely off base there, that it wasn't a financial success. If it made 226, yeah, they would have spent another 200 million on marketing. But I would argue that wasn't because there was a single quick little 2-second scene of 2 women kissing each other. because like they keep saying that all these movies have gone gay. Like I heard that about the second of the new Star Wars trilogy. It went gay, and there was like literally 1 second kiss near the right before the credits in the background of 2 women, because it's always, you can't show 2 men. 2 men is just way too gay. But yeah, it was like 2 women who kissed at one point in the background, and that was it. It was easily edited out for other markets that wouldn't tolerate such depravity. But it's not as if these films are going gay. I had heard because, yesterday we were watching people say how this is the gayest Star Wars and getting really mad about that. So I watched the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte. I hate to tell you, it's not gay. Unless the definition at this point, unless the bar is so low that gay is like, someone with a hard body without their shirt on, just standing there, and then someone else is like, hey, you should put your shit on. Oh, okay. But so was that super gay? I guess there's people with different hair colors, but that's kind of usually what happens in the Star Wars universe. There's powerful women. Is that gay, fellas? Is it gay to have a woman protagonist now? I don't know.
Stale vibe of both projects. Additionally, Disney's much touted fully immersive Star Wars hotel called the Galactic Star Cruiser shut down.
Don't you dare bring Jenny Nicholson into this, all right? We're skipping past this. I won't tolerate it.
Sexual orientation. Faced with this brand collapse, Disney had 2 options. One option was to retool their content to focus on entertainment and family values instead of activism, which is what Disney used to do when it was a universally beloved and much more financially successful company. They could get back to their roots, in other words. And not in the sense of churning out more remakes, but in the sense of being a company that makes wholesome family films that capture a real sense of wonder and imagination. But the other option was to keep doing exactly what they've been doing and continue to shove the same agenda, the equity, representation, LGBTQ approach that they've been pushing for years now. Well, 8 months ago, Disney CEO Bob Iger publicly pledged to pursue the first option. He declared that Disney would refocus its efforts on entertainment, not political messaging. That was the plan, or at least the plan that was shared with the public. But that's not what has happened. Disney, over the past 8 months, has apparently decided to double down on agenda-driven content to the point that they're now openly attacking their own fans. It's a remarkable turn of events, and it's one that's worth discussing because this development is not unique to Disney. And it suggests that wokeness, as we call it, may not be the best way to describe what we're seeing at Disney and other major corporations like it. And certainly that's part of what we're seeing, but there's something else going on here as well. It looks a lot like corporate mediocrity run amok, the private sector version of what we see across the public sector bureaucracy. Unimpressive people with impressive sounding credentials who check the right demographic boxes are taking the helm of businesses and products that they don't understand. They've insinuated themselves into these companies like a cancer that's evidently impossible to remove. And even when the company CEO publicly tells them one thing, they're free to do another. Now, to get a better idea of what I mean, take a look at this interview from the other day featuring Leslie Headland, the creator of the new Disney Star Wars show, The Acolyte. Now, I don't want to prejudice you in any way, so I'll just play the clip with no further introduction. This is the showrunner talking about her new show. Watch.
I want to ask you both because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And are you excited about that? Are you
Not the
bracing
gayest
yourself?
Star Wars. Not the.
It's pretty gay, let's be honest. Leslie, how do you feel?
Am I gay? Yes.
Well, no, I know
Yeah.
you are gay, but I'm asking, are you excited about putting this, this is going to be a talking point?
Is it going to be a talking point?
So I saw this clip and then I was like, oh, really? Oh, neat. Okay, I'll watch it. Consider me gay. I'm curious. I want to see how gay Star Wars is. And unfortunately, I was left wanting. I did not get gay vibes, Again, I feel sometimes maybe the bar is so low for what is considered to be, gay representation in cinema that, it could be implied. I certainly clocked a couple of the characters for sure. I was definitely like, oh, yeah, could see them going either way, you know, kind of thing. But that doesn't mean that it's gay representation. I mean, that's what fucking gay people have been doing forever. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, do you think it could be implied? It's up to you.
Sure.
Because nerds are gay.
Well, some nerds are very not gay and are very threatened by gay
Well, that's
stuff.
true. But in my world, nerds are gay.
Okay. Was this the fun element of?
No, I don't think so. And yet people have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I frankly
You're offended?
into it. No.
I think that Star Wars is so gay already.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen the fits? We'd be like, look how gay this is, and then send each other a reference.
Hey,
Are
left
you
in the box.
telling
Good
me
to see
with
you.
a straight face that C-3PO is straight?
They're a couple. That's what I think. But
And
This is
I
more
stand by. I agree with
canon
that.
that R2-D2 is a lesbian.
So don't worry about the story or the plot or the characters. Who has time for that? Instead,
That is a bunch of people having fun in an interview. Matt, have you ever had fun in your life? Jesus Christ. Like, have you ever sat down with the boys? I'm sure you've had this conversation. Have you ever been like, that chick was pretty hot, eh? Yeah, she was pretty hot. Yeah, she was hot. I found her hot. What, are you saying that, like, she aroused you? Wait, is that gay? Is that gay of me to say that? No homo, bro, but she was hot. In a straight way. Like, as in, I would have straight sex with her. In the missionary position exclusively. Just having fun. The people having fun with a very, very famous property. I would say probably the most famous science fiction property in history. Don't come at me, Star Trek. Maybe it's Star Trek. Who knows? But either way. And then it's like, so I've heard that this is the gay Star Wars. When it's like, the reason I know they're having fun is I watched the first 2 episodes. It's not overtly gay in any way. You would really have to be reading, again, if the bar is this low, if literally one character has no shirt and is standing there with like a really hard body and it's just like standing there for a while, then someone comes up and is like, hey, you should put your shirt on. Was that super gay? I mean, I don't even know the genders of those 2 characters yet.
just listen to these 2 women call old Star Wars characters gay and then giggle like schoolgirls. They're excited that this new Star Wars show will be the gayest Star Wars show yet, which is in every way the exact opposite of what the audience actually wants. Nobody has watched the recent Star Wars films and shows and said to themselves, you know, this would be better if only it was even gayer. No one has thought that.
Wait, so they were already super gay for you? Again, that's kind of the problem with just being like, you know, super hardcore, like, oh, I'm so insecure in my heterosexuality. Is all your heterosexualities that like sensitive, that fragile at any given moment? You know, are you just worried you might see the right body and you'll be like, whoa, I mean, sin. Yeah, that's sin. What that man is presenting to me, sinful. That greased up chest of his, very sinful, decadent behavior. I just have to look at one more time to realize how sinful it is. Yeah, definitely sinful.
Except for apparently the people behind this show. Now, the only thing you learn from that interview is that Leslie Headland is gay and has no respect whatsoever for her audience or her own show. This is how Disney is promoting the latest entry to franchise.
By the way, I'm sure he's going to pull it up, but they've also pulled up a clip from the lead of the show, and they're using this to try and be like, by the way, here's a clip saying white people crying was the goal. Amandla Stenberg, lead actress for the new Star Wars series, The Acolyte, saying white people crying was the goal.
When people watch The Hate You Give, what do you want them to walk away with? Because I know everyone has a slightly different feeling.
Well, I mean, white people crying actually was the goal.
Wow, so that's what the goal of the new Star Wars is. And then remind me, is Trevor Noah still the host of The Daily Show? Probably from an old clip, just being taken out of context and still being repackaged to be like, hey, this is what they're trying to promote. And then in full context, what do we got here? Let's try it again.
Watch.
My apologies, didn't know it would be that loud this
When
time.
people watch The Hate You Give, what do you want them to walk away with? Because I know everyone has a slightly different feeling.
Well, I mean, white people crying actually was the goal.
Oh, it was a joke. It was a joke. She was joking. She was joking because, you know, insecure bigots, again, being like, oh, she probably just wants to make us cry. And she was parodying that as a joke.
It was the goal.
Well, you know what?
We wanted to make sure that, you know, those who you know, have been affected by the way in which the media misconstrues these events actually have a real sense of empathy and are able to place themselves into the shoes of our communities and understand that these are not just news events. These are happening to real people. They affect us in really deep and pervasive ways. And then in terms of how it affects people of color,
Oh no, it's not about. I was totally joking. It's not about Star Wars. So what Jack Pacevic allegedly, who runs allegedly End Wokeness, was doing there is he found this old clip from it's got to be at least a year ago when Trevor Noah was still the host, and took the clip completely out of context and then just plays that one thing where it's like, well, white people crying was the goal, and then they laughed. Why did they laugh? Why was anyone laughing? This is horrifying. She's talking about white genocide and white tears. First, they came for the tears, and I said nothing. And then tried to repackage it as like, oh, here's the star of the new Disney series saying, you know, that she's trying to make white people cry. Disingenuous on every level. The clip was a joke. The clip was out of context. Once put into context, yes, it's not only reasonable, it's beyond fucking reasonable, and has absolutely nothing to do with the new Star Wars series. And people laughed because it was funny.
$4 billion to buy a decade ago. And that has a lot of fans wondering how exactly she was chosen for the role of showrunner. If her role is to push some subversive woke ideology, she's not being very subversive about it. She's just angering as many fans as she possibly can. And that's, you know, all this is.
So I thought y'all were the ones who say that the left get triggered by comedy and comedy is illegal. And you can't make jokes anymore. That's the problem with the woke mind virus. That was like Elon Musk's exact words, you know, that he was like, yeah, it poisons everything. The humor is dead. You already played a clip of someone clearly joking with someone else. The premise of the joke doesn't work if Star Wars was overtly gay and if this was a super gay Star Wars and had every like gay stereotype you could think of, you know?
And she's not the only...
Not that, like, I'm opposed to the idea of space twinks. Like, I'd like to, you know, have a plot line that involved that, but I'm just saying that's not what the show's about. And that's why they were joking. As in, like, oh, so I've heard that this is the gayest Star Wars yet. Oh, yeah, it's so gay. Yeah, definitely. It's super, super gay. I've always thought Star Wars was always gay, you know? Because, again, it's so subtle. You'd have to read in to find those things, you know?
CEO, the only one doing this, the CEO of Lucasfilm, a woman named Kathleen Kennedy, just came out in defense of her showrunner. Kennedy declared that if you're not a fan of how Leslie Headland is handling herself, then you probably hate women. Quote, I think Leslie has struggled a little bit with it. I think a lot of the women who step into Star Wars struggle with this a bit more. Because of the fan base being so male-dominated, they sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal. My belief is that storytelling does need to be representative of all people. That's an easy decision for me. Yeah, she really said that. Storytelling does need to be representative of all people, says the CEO of Lucasfilm as she mocks her own fan base. These people are so dumb, they don't even understand the words coming out of their own mouths. Representative of all people.
Do you know how insecure you'd have to be to think that that was somehow mocking you? If someone's just like, this is so gay, how does that affect you? Especially if you're not gay. Again, like, how fragile is heterosexuality? It could break at any time. If I saw the right man cock, we cannot expose people to it.
People? Really? Are they going to have 8 billion characters in this show? One for each person on Earth? How exactly does that work? Is storytelling...
How do you think homosexuality works now? Do you think it's just about every single person getting paired off with every other person?
Supposed to be representative of all people, whatever that means? Or is it supposed to be representative of the creative, distinct creative vision of the storyteller? I was going to show some more clips of these women, but it's honestly too painful to subject you to. These are people who can't even communicate without descending into Valley Girl nonsense. And they're putting together shows that they expect millions of people to watch. Kathleen Kennedy was lucky enough to work with Steven Spielberg, and here it is again. If you can get through it, here it is. Watch.
They're still alive. We need to get them to the ship. We can save them.
Forget it. Let them die. It's not worth the trouble.
They were about to surrender.
Irrelevant. The Jedi are a threat to be eradicated wherever they are found.
Oh yeah, we did play that before because that I remember.
I for the life of me don't know what the issue was there. Were they gay? Did someone who was gay have to... What was the problem with that clip? Did I need context? I'm waiting for someone who watches the show to pipe in. I don't even get this one. It was just two women talking? was that it? They, them pronouns? Oh, was that it? See, I don't even notice this stuff anymore.
The Acolyte too much, although it obviously deserves it. Because of the fact that Disney is now pumping out Star Wars shows on an assembly line, there's another one that I can mock as well. It's called Tales of the Empire. This one is apparently geared towards kids, and I guess it features a non-binary Jedi.
Oh my God. You know what? That's kind of cute. I didn't even notice when they use they in that regard. Oh my God, you sweet butterfly. May you never encounter diversity. May you live forever. Holy shit. And now I gotta show you this one. Holy fuck. I can't believe what they've done. This is what they took from us.
Reaffirm the studio's standing. But if the movie fails, it will fuel concerns about the company's relevance. And by the way, the whole article is kind of funny because it's all...
Well, you know what? This is just like maybe a beautiful moment in corporate oligarchies because, you know, if Disney is in fact collapsing for in large part due to the reason that it's just not sustainable, this model of filmmaking / digital streaming is not sustainable. You can't just keep making $300 million movies that require $600 million internationally to go and, you know, drop them when the other 5 studios that exist are all doing the same thing. And you've got now, for the first time in this thing, like in an industry you all dominate, you've created a scenario where you have razor thin margins. Like, none of you want to take risks on creative projects. A24 is just like, see ya every other week. They're like, we have some kind of fucking original amazing film coming out and we're gonna do it. And meanwhile, all of you are like, we have a new Star Wars and there's a Batman and a Batwoman. Oh no, okay, no Batwoman, but a Looney Tune. There's a Harry Potter spin-off coming out, and it's like, sure, you can probably get the 100 million still, but that's not anywhere near what you need. And most people, they're just burnt the fuck out. No one has time. No one has time to go to 3 major movie events every fucking weekend, and each of those movies has to fucking clean up around the world, and it's just all the same shit over and over. You know what's kind of funny is I ended up watching Blue Beetle as one of those, just like, you know, it's Sunday, whatever, I got nothing else to do, I'll watch this. And it was actually good. I felt bad for everyone involved in that because it, like, whoever was part of that team, you could definitely argue that movie is woke as fuck. They took a superhero, and it's the first superhero that's obviously, I think, in the Warner Brothers movie canon that's been released in a major motion picture that happens to be Hispanic. And so it's a Mexican superhero with a Mexican family, and the Mexican family is adorable and all that kind of stuff. And the whole plot line involves the Imperial American fucking empire, you know, and references Reagan and the fucked up shit that he had done in Nicaragua and other countries, and how, you know, this family of immigrants, some of whom immigrated from countries that were war-torn due to America, had a revolutionary past and were actually like socialists, and they wanted to defeat the empire, and the whole thing once again becomes like a metaphor for the very, you know, villainous, you know, empire-esque villain, Susan Sarandon, who plays the villain in that movie. And I was like, you know what? It's too bad, because like obviously this flopped because no one wants to go see this shit anymore, right? Like if this movie had come out like 6 or 7 years ago, it would have been just one of those superhero movies where it was like, you gotta go see Blue Beetle. I can't believe it. They had a socialist grandma revolutionary who like takes up arms once again to fight the Imperial Corps and all that kind of stuff. I was like, I didn't expect to see that in a superhero movie. I guess they got away with it because it's fun and it's PG-13 and all that kind of stuff. But again, no one wants to see it. Like the last thing in the world, even if you had said that to me and then it was like, it's coming out soon in theaters. Oh well, yeah. I'm sure it's good. I'm just not gonna go see Blue Beetle. But you know, go have fun. Go do it. But like, yeah, just the endless fucking. It's woke. It's woke, so it's bad. It's woke, so it's evil. It's woke, so this is why the studios are collapsing. Not corporate greed, because we love corporate greed. Corporate greed is the shit, right? Apparently. Pretty sure it's in comic too. Blue Beetle had a promo when I was in Disneyland this year. Don't think I knew. Yeah, no one watched it, right? Like it was a massive flop, like every major film that comes out these days. Because like I said before, I don't know who has time for it. Honestly, imagine if a live action of JL Gods and Monsters came out. Infinity War was the last one. I didn't mind the Batman. You know, there's fine. And in hindsight, it's worse than I thought it was when I first saw it. Now that I've had time to digest, but it's okay. You know, I'm sure there'll be another Star Wars. We'll have no end until the studios go bankrupt. But like I said, maybe this will be the end of Disney or something.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We first want to give a shout out to everyone who makes this show possible. This program is produced thanks to the generous support of our Patreon supporters: Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbar Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multi Mondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Bomey, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, Travis McClinton, and Words Greenwood. As well as every other person you see on the screen right now, this show would not be possible without them. And if you want to join these wonderful people who make this entire program possible, simply go to patreon.com/theserfs and you can unlock uncensored and bonus episodes and, you know, help us exist.